Today we're talking about Morrison, Colorado. Hey everybody, it's Alyson with Live South Denver, your real estate strategist and realtor for the South Denver area. So Morrison is known for its Red Rocks concert location, but there is more to Morrison than meets the eye. So I am in Mount Falcon Park, which is one of the fantastic gems of Morrison, Colorado. Let me show you around here just a little bit. Let's get our bearings on Morrison. We have the town of Morrison where the Red Rocks concert venue roughly is located. We move a little east from there, and that is where all the new construction is. There's not much space for it, but if you're looking for something new and you'd like to be over on this west side of town, that is a great spot to look. We go a little south from there at the southeast corner of Highway 285 and 470. We have this older suburban neighborhood that feels a lot like an extension of Lakewood or Littleton. Then we go south and west from there and we get into the foothills, and that is where we have the Morrison area that feels a lot like this and what is behind me. You get into the foothills, you get into low mountain area, trees and pine trees. As you can imagine, since there is a front range and a foothills lifestyle, it's different to live in these two different sides of Morrison. So if you are front range living, you're doing the new construction, even town of Morrison, or that more suburban Lakewood, Littleton area, then you've got a lifestyle that's gonna be different than the foothills area, where you're gonna have warmer temperatures, less snow, a little more convenient to get into downtown, even to the airport, though it's still probably going to be a 45-minute commute to the airport. But to get to downtown, probably 25 minutes with no traffic. Your options for grocery store are easily going to include a Trader Joe's and a Whole Foods within 12 to 18 minutes. Several different grocery store options for you down there. You're going to have access to healthcare that's going to be closer, and several different options because you can go north, you can go east into town, so you can go Littleton, you can go Lakewood. You're going to have a lot more choice. Things are just different when you're on the front range side. When you come into the foothills, it is definitely different. So you're going to have more snow. We get about 3 feet more snow when you're up here in the foothills than we do down in the suburbs. Temperatures are cooler. Even this morning as I came up here to record this, because we've been having 100-degree temperatures here in Denver, there was a 10-degree temperature differential from when I left the front range to when I moved up here into the mountains. I would say more up here in the park, but just moving into the foothills, 10-degree temperature difference in the morning. So the snow is going to stay around differently as well, along with that 3-foot difference. Grocery store, not a problem. There is a grocery store in Conifer, which is just about 15 minutes away. So unless you're deep back in some winding roads in a really private area, not a problem to get groceries and some basic amenities. Conifer is a nice big town. It's really grown up, and you've got a lot of neighbors of generally like-mindedness if you're going to be out in this area. Healthcare is going to be a little farther. There are doctors in Conifer, there are doctors in Evergreen, but in terms of a major healthcare facility, you've got to come out for that. And then you're commuting a lot farther for work unless you are remote or working in a small business in the area. Now, your commute to get to the airport, at least an hour for sure. Now, for both these areas, whether you're going to be front range or foothills, you're at least on the west side of town to get into the mountains, which is why people generally love to be over here. They either want to be in the mountains like this, which is, my gosh, so dreamy, or at least closer to have the lifestyle. So if you're foothills living like this, then you don't really shave off any time to get to the mountains because you've got to get back out to the highway, and there's some time with that. If you're front range living, meaning we're in new construction or the suburban lifestyle, you actually do save yourself some time versus being over in, say, Highlands Ranch, Parker, Castle Rock, some of those areas. You could get into Breckenridge in, say, about an hour and 20 minutes, where I'm in the Parker Lone Tree area, and it takes me about an hour 45 to get over to Vale or Breckenridge. For me, they take about the same amount of time just because Breckenridge is deeper off the highway than Vale is. Internet service is good whether you're on the front range or in the foothills. However, if you end up in a more deep remote location out in the foothills, you may not have Xfinity or CenturyLink. So if you're looking at a mountain property, and this is true for Conifer, Evergreen, way up in the mountains and something more remote, you always do need to check what the internet provider is and have them do a data test, a download test, an upload test for you, because if you're really wanting to be able to work remote, you have to be sure you've got the access that you need. I have seen it rule out properties for my clients in Evergreen. One neighborhood they've had great access, one neighborhood they have not. Morrison is home to single family homes. This is generally not a place where you're going to find a lot of townhome or condo options. So if you're looking for something that's a little smaller, you can find small homes, but you're really not going to find a lot of townhome or condo options here. 55% of the homes have at least a 2-car garage. About 25% have a 3-car garage. So you will have space to store your vehicles and get them out of the snow, and some toys, since this is a big toy area. Particularly if you have some acreage, you're going to have some 4-wheelers, some other fun things. In that same vein of fun things, 10% of the properties are horse friendly and 20% have an outbuilding of some sort, whether it's a chicken coop, a simple shed, or all the way up to an airplane hangar. And the stat you really want to know, 45% of the homes claim a mountain view. So nearly half of the homes say they have something akin to what you see behind me as a view from the house. For all of Morrison, the median lot size runs just 0.2 acres. That does not sound very large for an area that we consider to be mountainy, because much of what we look at in Morrison is considered to be a little more like this. We aren't mostly down in that Front Range area. That's not where the majority of the homes are. So we're thinking, wait, 0.2 acres? What are we talking about? Well, let's dig into each little area and I can give you a deeper look at lot sizes. The lot size on those new build homes, it's a median of 5,600 square feet. When we get over to that suburban area, a little bit older, they're running about 7,000 square feet. Then when we push out here toward this more rural area, then we're looking at a median of 2 acres. And when I look at the last 2 years of sold data, about 15% of the homes that sold in the past 2 years had acreage larger than 2 acres, and only 4.5% were larger than 5 acres. So I would say that for a lot of what my clients are looking for, this is the Goldilocks of homes and land, because it's not too big, it's not too small, it's not too far from town, it's not too high in elevation, it's not too much snow, it's maybe a little more than they would like. The commutes aren't too far. Everything is just right. Now, please, if you are considering any mountain property, a property covered densely with trees, check out this video about insuring your home in Colorado. There have been a lot of changes, particularly since we had that larger boulder fire several years ago. So I want you to be fully informed, and then reach out if you have specific questions around this as well. So what does living in Morrison cost you? The median home price is $790,000 for a median home size of 2,600 square feet. The average home price is $920,000 with an average home size of 3,100 square feet. But the price range, we're talking $300,000 to $3.5 million. If you want a 3-bedroom home, you're looking at a minimum of $600,000. If you're looking at wanting a 1/4 acre lot, a little space, something that gets you out this way, eyeball at least $1 million. The average home price out here is going to put you at $1.25 million. And if you have a leaning for new construction, so more on the Front Range side, you can certainly find something that falls more toward the median average home prices, at least as a starting price. So somewhere in that $700,000 to $900,000 range will definitely work. If you're curious about some of the popular neighborhoods in Morrison, want to look a few up, there are so many, but here are just a couple names. You've got Friendly Hills and Red Rocks Ranch on the Front Range side, Willow Springs, which kind of bridges the gap between Front Range and Foothills, and Hilldale Pines and Homestead in the Foothills area. Pros to living in Morrison absolutely include access to beautiful areas like this. You've got Mount Falcon Park, you got Lara the Bear, you have close access to Staunton State Park. Of course, there is Red Rocks Park. It is not just the amphitheater, there is a whole entire park around that. There are free events that you can get to, like yoga in the park. On the Front Range side, you have such close access and proximity to getting into the mountains, getting into nature. If you live here in the foothills, you have acreage, quiet, nature, space, this serene lifestyle is part of your everyday living, and you're really not that much farther to get out into town. Now, if you have to commute to downtown, it's certainly a longer commute, but I might say it's worth it if you have that luxury of time on your day. Cons to being in Morrison: if you live in the town of Morrison, you have to contend with Red Rocks and all of the events. It used to be there were only about 30 concerts a year there. Now there are hundreds. And that overflow of noise, as they've improved the sound system, it gets louder, there's more overflow of sound, constant traffic, people coming in and out late at night. So if you're farther away, if you're out here, it's not a challenge at all. But for those who are kind of in that area, it is certainly a change to lifestyle that seems to be expanding and expanding and expanding. Living in and among the trees like this, you have higher fire risk that comes with higher insurance costs. Sometimes an insurance carrier may not want to even cover you. You will have to mitigate your trees that are really right in and around your home. You'll have to do constant mitigation to keep fire risk away from your house. So there are some things that your mind is always working on if you live out on acreage and around trees. And for those who want a truly low maintenance lifestyle, I would say living in the foothills, that is not it. You have more snow, you have to shovel more snow, you have just a little more work you have to do with your property. That 3 more feet of snow and cooler temperatures will stick around more. It is lovely. It is a lifestyle a lot of us dream of, even those of us who live down on the Front Range in the suburbs in Denver area, but it is more work. So you do have the option of being on the Front Range side, being in something a little more suburban, and then just driving up to this. So cons: it's a lot more maintenance, a little more work. You've got more snow, you've got trees, you've got dry grasses, you have more fire risk when you're up in this kind of lifestyle. The pros: you've got this every day. So some things to think about. All right, if you're gonna come to the town of Morrison and check it out for yourself, I encourage you to do not speed. Do not speed in the town of Morrison. I am warning you, my one and only ticket ever. And if you would love to chat more and get some more insights and I can help you with that, please reach out. You know I always love to connect, and I will see y'all next week.